Well, honestly, I think it's just another day at the office for them, Peachy. You know, we are Reading fans. I played for this club for 13 years, almost 400 appearances. So, you know, it possibly, dare I say, it means a lot more to me, to you, to Berkshire, to Reading fans. So, you know, it's just another day at the office. The cameramen are here. Obviously, the photographers are here. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited. I've never really been this side of it. Obviously, I've been in the dressing room, you know, new managers come and go, players come and go. That's the nature of the beast in football. But to actually witness it, what goes on in a press conference, because it's something that I've never actually witnessed before. And
I suppose, you know, from a player's perspective, you say you've sort of, you know, you've had this happen around you. I'm guessing that as a player, you know, one of the people who actually makes a difference on the pitch for Reading Football Club and, you know, Premier League survival or whatever, you feel all this is a bit far removed from you.
Peachy, they've just walked in now. Nigel Howe, the chief exec, has just walked in. Mr. Adkins, how are you, sir? Well. Very well. How are you? He looks smart as well. Sir John Medeski, hello, sir. So the 1, 2, 3, 5 gentlemen have just walked in. Hello, Nicky Hammond, the director of football also. So there's 6 people: Anton Zingarevich, Andy Crosby, Nigel Howe, Nigel Adkins, obviously, Sir John Medeski and Nicky Hammond. And the press conference is just about to begin, Peachy.
Was that the first question to the new Reading manager?
That was nice, sir.
How are you?
A friendly face.
Excellent stuff. We're about to hear then from who's going to speak first, do you think?
I think one of the TV cameras may well go first, but I'll be coming in very shortly.
I'd like to welcome you to the Reading Football Club. It's an important date for us, as you see. I'd like to introduce our new manager, Nigel Adkins, and his assistant, Andy Crosby. As I said, I think it's an important date for us. I think it's a really important appointment, and we think we'll take this club to the next level. So if you have any questions.
I'll start, if I may.
Yes.
Nigel.
How are you doing?
BBC Radio Berkshire, AD Williams. Yes, first things first, the first question I think all Reading fans would like me to ask you: do you honestly believe that you can keep Reading in the Premier League this season?
We've got to believe, we've got to do it. And we talk about it. I've joined Reading Football Club. I want to be in the Premier League. And first of all, can I just turn around and say, you know, I've not made any comments since my dismissal at Southampton. I need to take this opportunity to thank all the people at Southampton, the staff, the players and the supporters, because we were on a fantastic journey. And what I've got to do now is say thank you to that, but we've all got to move on. And I'm really pleased and privileged to be the Reading manager now. And answering your question, yes, we've got to have a belief and we've got to have a desire to take one game at a time and make sure this football club remains in the Premier League. And that's what I've come here to do.
Well, my next question was going to say, you've got a pretty impressive CV. Why Reading?
It's a good football club, first and foremost. I was impressed when I met the owner. I was impressed when I met Nick. It's a good football club. I've met Sir John over the years, and I've always known that Reading is a very, very good football club. And when we look at it, we're in the Premier League. We've got to make sure that we remain in the Premier League. But the stability here, there's a future looking forward, and I'm excited about the prospect of being here.
Nigel, you can't talk about the facts of the departure from Southampton, but just describe your emotions going from the dismissal there to getting this job back in the Premier League.
As you rightly said, Fraser, I can't talk about the situation that's gone on there. That's in the hands of the League Managers Association. But I'm just looking at the future now. That's the important thing. We look to the future.
The emotional change you've gone through.
It's been great. I've had 2 months out, and you know, I've gone around Europe. I've gone and seen different things, and I'm excited about the future now. I'm a football man. I'm passionate about playing football. I'm passionate about all things that go on in football, and we're in the Premier League. We're at Reading Football Club, which is an excellent football club. You know, I know the supporters are good. We had a great rivalry last season. You know, Reading were the champions of the Championship. They're in the Premier League, and they're in there fighting, and they've got a good spirit amongst themselves. They always have done, and I'm looking forward to getting amongst the players and you know, looking for the next game, which is Arsenal on Saturday.
Tell us when you first had discussions with Reading, and I know it was an open process, but they were talking and discussing the job with Gus Poyet as well. How do you feel about that, although you're the man now sitting here?
Listen, it's fair to say I was in Germany when the situation happened with Brian, and the owner's got to do what he believes is right, and we move forward on that one. And it's fair to say that Reading wasn't on the agenda at the time when I was over in Germany. That was a great trip that I spent out there, learning all the time. Good conversations we've had, very good conversations, very positive. As I said, I'm really looking forward to the next stage now, moving on, and that's what we've got to do. We look to the future. We're at Reading, we're all together, we're all going to work very, very hard. We've got a big game at the weekend, and we're all going to pull in the same direction. I think that's the important thing now. It's a great challenge we've got.
Your first home match here is against Southampton, a week on Saturday. Just explain how much you're relishing going into that game. Do you feel you've got a point to prove, and do you feel you can reel them in? You're 8 points behind them now with 8 games left?
I think the important thing is the next game is the most important one, and that's Arsenal. I know where you're coming from with Southampton. That's the game after that, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of talk about that. But I'm just being appointed the Reading manager, and I think it's important that we are respectful for that. It is about Reading Football Club, and we're looking forward to the next game in charge, which is going to be the Arsenal game, and we're going to take it one game at a time. I think that's the important thing. We put all our energies into the one game, do everything we can to go and win it, analyse it, put it to bed, and then we'll move on to the next game, which will take its count.
Anton, if I can ask you, please, explain the process in bringing Nigel here in terms of speaking to the other managers. We know you spoke to Gus Poyet, and tell us how happy you are that Nigel's the man here now.
I think Nigel is here, so definitely we're happy, and to be honest, that's the only thing that I want to talk about is Nigel, because Nigel is here. Nigel is the man for the job.
Do you have the utmost confidence that you'll be a Premier League club next season, or have you spoken to Nigel with a big view on coming back from the Championship next season?
I think definitely we have a good chance. We're in the Premier League. We have 8 games to go, winnable games. So we'll do our best, and then sit down at the end of the season and decide what we're going to do next.
How difficult decision was it for you? It was a very with the services of Brian McDermott. You haven't spoken about that since.
I'd like to stress that it was a really difficult decision for me to do. It was a really difficult decision, and just personally, because I have a good relationship with Brian, and I think he's a great person. So it was a really difficult personal decision to do, but I thought it's the right time to move forward.
Nigel, have you...
Brian McDermott, the manager you sacked last season, finished above the man that's sitting next to you, and finished above the man you also had discussions about on replacing him, Gus Poyet. How much are you going to back the man next to you? Because I think a lot of the Reading fans feel you didn't back Brian McDermott last summer when the other two promoted clubs, West Ham and Southampton, were backed. The man next to you was able to spend close to £40 million and played a lot of money for one player, Gaston Ramirez.
Well, it was this obviously decision that we all took. It wasn't somebody's decision. So we did what we do, but that's in the past again. I don't really want to go into that. As I said, I'm backing Nigel up definitely. So we'll see what we need to do. We haven't discussed any specifics. As I said, we'll wait till the end of the season and then see what needs to be done.
But is he going to get a bigger budget than Brian McDermott is, depending on what league you're in this summer?
Obviously.
Bigger budget?
I mean, I can say I just want to say that there was always a budget. That's it. That's the only comment I want to do. And I thought that we should have done more in January.
You should have done more in January. You yourself did not give Brian enough funds.
Huh?
You yourself admitting you did not give Brian enough funds.
No, I thought we should have spent more.
You feel if you had spent more, you would be definitely staying up?
Well, as you all know, we've tried to sign players, but I thought we should have been a bit more active.
And my final one to the chairman, Mr. Nadesky. How pleased are you to see a good football man like Nigel Adkins as the manager? And how difficult was it for you to see Brian McDermott depart? You've been here so long. Brian was at the club for 13 years.
I just want to say that Brian's a very good manager, and he'll pop up somewhere else. I think that Nigel Adkins is a fantastic choice, bearing in mind where we are at the moment. It's Anton's appointment, and he's worked very hard on this. And of course, Anton's the consummate football person, which I'm not. So anything to do with football, Anton has a much better idea about than I do. So any questions about the football club in terms of football should be addressed to him.
Nigel, you said obviously you're a football man. I imagine you can't wait to get on the training pitch. Have you met the players yet? Will you be taking training this morning?
No, we'll be going down to the training ground when we've obviously gone through the formalities of this conference. And I'm looking forward to getting amongst the players, meeting them all. I know there's a great spirit there, and as I said, I've alluded to that. It's a good football club with a good character about it. There's good players here who work very hard for each other. We're going to scrap. We're going to give it everything we've got, that spirit we've got. We talk about next season, we're talking about now. It's the here and the now. Our next game is Arsenal, and we're going to make sure we give ourselves every opportunity. We've got guys away on international duty at the moment, so it could be a bit fragmented, like a lot of football clubs have got players away. So the sooner we get everybody back in and we get amongst them as well. But I know Eamon's done a good job in keeping the guys going, and we're looking forward to getting amongst the players, getting ready again. I know that spirit can take us a hell of a long way. And we've got a great game lined up at the weekend against Arsenal, and we're going to relish that one.
I think the spirit's always been good over the years here at Reading Football Club. I'm sure you're aware of that.
Yeah.
You've got a certain style of football. You've obviously, kept an eye on how Reading are playing, the system they're playing. You're going to put your stamp on it as soon as possible?
Listen, the big thing is we've got to concentrate. We've got 8 games in the Premier League. We're going to take one game at a time. You can't change everything overnight. We've got a group of players, as you rightly said, have got fantastic spirit, unbelievable spirit. You can't take that away, and we're going to keep building on that. And what we've got is a group of players who we've got to make sure we do what we do well and continue to do that over a period of time. As you rightly said, we've got to, we're used to wanting the players to pass the ball out. I'm sure they do that at Reading all the time on the training ground, on the pitch. So we've got a good group of players. We're going to look to get ready for the next game, and slowly but surely we're going to give ourselves an opportunity to keep building on the great work that Brian did, and to John and Nick and everybody at the football club. We've sampled the Premier League. This is where we want to be. The Premier League is a great place to be, and one of the major reasons of me coming to Reading Football Club, I want to be in the Premier League. It's a great place to be, and we've got 8 games to go. We're going to take one at a time, and we're going to relish the challenge that we're now faced with.
You've signed a contract, I believe, until the summer of 2016. If I was to ask you, are you more confident that you'll be in the Premier League at the end of this season or 2016?
Listen, I've just said we've got to have the belief that we can go and achieve what we set out to do. What Reading would have set out to do at the start of the season is to make sure that they're still in the Premier League. I want to be in the Premier League. I'm sure everybody does. This football club worked so hard to get here last season. Unbelievable. I mean, to come back from losing out in the playoffs to then go and achieve what they're going to do is remarkable. We're not just going to throw that away. We're going to keep building on the great foundations that are here at this football club, and we're going to have a positivity about everything we do. And that's the next game that we've got at the weekend against Arsenal. Always going to be a tough place to go, but it's a game that we should go and relish.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Nigel, how do you get the balance right between obviously trying to impose your ideas on what you want the team to do, but when you've got such a short space of time and going so different fast transfer?
Listen, what we've got to do is make sure we can speak with the players, and we've got to do what we do well. We've got to continue to do that. But obviously over a period of time there might be things that we want to go and change, but let's not take away what we do well at. That's important, and we'll work very hard to keep improving on what we've got here at Reading.
Andy, can I ask you, what were you doing when you found out that the job was up for you? Were you starting to pull your hair out?
The little I've got. No, I think initially after you've lost your job and you have a little bit of time out with the family, itching to get back in for a while, and it's a great opportunity for myself as well to come to a great club like Reading and work in the Premier League again.
Nigel, obviously how do you work? Who else is going to be going to go back to Britain? Is there any other people from South coming with you?
I think the important thing is, myself and Andy are in. There's good staff here at Reading Football Club. And obviously what we'll do is we'll get amongst everybody and we'll take it from there.
You've spoken about your belief in Reading being able to stay up. What's that based on? Is it based on players? Is it based on spirit, touch and spirit? What's it based on?
Well, first of all, you've got to have belief. You've got to dare to dream. Can we dare to dream that we're going to win the amount of games that we've got to go and get and accumulate the amount of points? We've got to. And what we've got is spirit. That's the big thing that you've always seen here at Reading. There's a spirit and a camaraderie amongst the players. That's invaluable, especially at the latter stages of the season. It'll take you a hell of a long way, as it was demonstrated last season with the run that Reading went on. And we've got to believe, and I know, having spoke with Brian and other people here at Reading, there was a belief that there was games here at the end of the season to go and win. So I think that gives us a great start.
Nigel, you talk about the spirit in the playing staff, but also how important is the crowd going to be here at the Daisy Stadium in that fight to stay up?
Very much so. I think we've all got to be united as a football club. And the supporters want to see the team winning. They've been used to winning over the last couple of seasons. Maybe it's a tough league, the Premier League. So maybe the amount of victories haven't been as many as what we've been used to over the last couple of seasons. But I know all the supporters at Reading, they've loved being in the Premier League. They've worked so hard to get here. They're going to love the next remaining 8 games. And I think everyone's got to be together, get behind the players, get behind the football club, get behind the owner. And we've all got to pull in the same direction to give ourselves every opportunity, because it is a tough ask that we're looking at now. And we're not going to hide away from that, but we've got to have belief. And it's amazing if everyone pulls together what can be achieved.
It's BBC Radio Berkshire live news conference from the Mad Stab with the new Reading manager Nigel Adkins answering journalist questions.
Our relationship with Brian, as you say, was a long-standing one and a very close one, and we're still close. But in terms of the process is the process, and that's the job that I do for the owner and the football club. So managing our way through that was just myself doing my job, and I'm absolutely delighted where we've ended up. I think Nigel's a perfect fit for this football club. He brings an honesty and integrity to the club, which we've always been about, and it's a new era, and I'm looking forward to working with him and Andy very much.
Your relationship is going to be integral to the club moving forward. Have you discussed sort of what roles you'll have and how the shared into?
Yeah, I think Nigel's never worked with a director of football before, but we've talked at length over the last 10 days, and first and foremost, it's always about the relationships at a football club or in any business to be successful. And I have a very good feeling with Nigel that will work very well. I've worked with Alan Pardew, with Steve Coppell, with Brendan Rodgers, and with Brian McDermott, all very well and very closely. And I envisage this will be exactly the same.
It can be a divisive relationship. We have seen this previous directors, footballers and managers, but you are confident that having spoken to Nigel that it will work?
Well, it's never been divisive at Reading. And if you can speak to any of the previous managers, they'll tell you that. My job is to support the manager in every way that I can, which allows him to go and prepare the team to win football games, and that's what I'll do.
And Nigel, you're confident and happy to be working with a director of football?
Very much so. I spent a week in Hamburg last week. And obviously they've got Frank Arneson and Lee Congerton, sporting director, a director of football. So that was one of the many aspects that I wanted to go and have a look at, how it operates, how it works, situations that maybe could have be handled better, and things that work. So I've got every confidence, and we've really got on well, me and Nick, since we've had a couple of conversations, and I've got every confidence in the modern age now that can work.
Nigel, Brian was very much a 4-4-2 man in the Championship, obviously dabbled in a 4-5-1, 4-3-3 in the Premier League. What's your style for the Reading fans that are listening? What sort of system are you looking to play?
Well, first of all, we'll play with 11 players, so we'll do a 1-4-4-2, 1-4, diamond 2, whichever way you want to look at it. Listen, you've got the ball, you've got to put it in one end. When you haven't got the ball, you've got to stop it going in your end. It's as simple as that. It's passing the ball. You talk about formations.
But 4 defenders.
Well, you look at the modern game now, the 2 full-backs are normally playing as out-and-out wingers, aren't they? So it's, listen, you've got to play fluid football. You've got to play with a goalkeeper.
Anton, the short-term goals are obvious, but where would you like the club to be when Nigel's contract expires in 2016?
As I always said, I wanted to be an established Premier League club. If we'll be in Premier League, then we can develop club off the field, which is important. Obviously started working on the infrastructure, which I think is important, but it's all about the Premier League, to be honest.
Nicky, you've done some great work on the scouting front and bringing in players for good prices through the managers you mentioned. Anton, you the big say, and Pogrebniak coming here, O'Brien went to you with certain names. Is that going to continue? Will you go to Nigel with names that you'd like to see here, like Pogrebniak, or is Nigel now the one that solely comes to you with the names?
I think we'll discuss this, but definitely Nigel is the manager, so it's going to be his input that's going to be critical. So we'll definitely sit down and discuss what we need to do to make the squad better. But that's the only thing that we will be focusing on, which is to make that team better.
I think the important thing to say is, and I've worked with Anton for 12 months now, and it's been a good relationship, and he has a vast knowledge of football and loves his football, and we talk much more about the game than I ever did with Sir John. And he has great opinions, but the support is there, and but the decision lies with the manager. I think that's probably sort of an angle to the question, and but I need to be very clear on that. You know, this football club in the last 12 months has only ever brought players to the club that the manager wants.
When you arrived, Anton, there was this perception that you were the mini Abramovich, the younger Abramovich, and maybe some Reading fans were waiting for you to spend tens of millions and millions and millions, and last summer the fact states that you didn't spend as much as some Reading fans would have wanted. Are you happy with that reputation that you've got? Do you think there's a misconception out there that you have got the billions? Or is it because you don't have the billions, or you're reluctant to spend them?
No, I think what's been tough in the summer is that we didn't have any scouting at all. So we only could go for whatever we knew we wanted to go. The idea was to bring players in the summer and then do more in January. We tried to sign very big players in January, but we weren't really successful. I thought we should have done a bit more anyways, but we didn't.
Anton, your financial commitment
is there.
What you've done. Do Reading fans have to understand that perhaps you haven't got the unlimited funds that some of them expected when you arrived here, or do you feel reluctant at the moment to spend them?
The most important thing for me is to look after this football club, and that's the critical part of it. You've probably seen the financials for the last season, and we didn't do too well. So that's the most important for you to understand.
Anton, sorry, just two things. You said you should have done more in January. As a board, as an owner, or as a manager? The manager should have done more?
Yes.
And the other question, you said it was the toughest decision of your life when you sacked Brian. Is this the biggest decision since you've taken over Reading Football Club? Is it one of the biggest decisions in your life?
And of course it was a big decision, because it's not just me, right? I'm an owner of a football club.
Appointing Nigel, I mean.
Oh, well, definitely it's a very important decision. Of course, it's the most important decision so far.
Nigel, you've achieved a lot, first at Scunthorpe and then obviously back-to-back promotions to Southampton. Keeping Reading up from the situation you've come into now, where would that rank among what you've achieved?
Oh, it's a great challenge for us, and one that we're really looking forward to. As you've just said there, we've got promotions on the in the career pathway, and this will be right up there amongst them.
Nigel, I understand you've maybe spoken to Brian there in the last few days. What's he said to you about the job you're taking on here?
It's a great football club. It's a great football club, great players to work with, fantastic spirit, fantastic camaraderie. Brian didn't have a bad word to say about the football club, and that was instrumental. So that's, he's always going to be welcome here. I think everyone knows that for what he's gone and done. And he's a top man. And, I've had to think long and hard, made the right decisions. I'm very happy with the decision that I've gone and made to join Reading Football Club. It's very positive. I know I'm going to get a good relationship with the chairman or the owner and Nick. All being well, we're all the supporters and everybody working hard together. We want this football club to be in the Premier League, and we want to keep building on the great work, the foundations that have been here, and we look to the future. I think that's the most important thing now. We keep looking to the future and keep building on the good work that's gone on here at Reading.
I'm sure you've got only 4 days to prepare for your first game in charge. Anything specific that you're going to be looking on when you do get with the players at the training ground?
As I say, first and foremost, it's quite an interesting challenge, because first and foremost we've got to get amongst the players and see them. Some of them aren't going to get back till Thursday afternoon. We've obviously got a game on Saturday, so hey, it's a great challenge to try and put all that together. But what I'm really looking forward to, we've been out of work for a couple of months, and as Andy said there, you kick your heels, you're out and about, you're doing things you've been used to being in football. I've got an energy and a vigour about myself. We were expecting to be in this situation in the Premier League for the remaining couple of months of the season, so there's an energy and a vigour, and we've got to keep kicking on.
Nigel, there was a suggestion that you met with Leeds at the weekend to discuss potential vacancy there. Is there any truth in that? And did that help with your decision here?
No, I've not met with Leeds United.
Nicky, can I one for you? There's obviously some big names of these football club players out of contract in the summer. How does that lie? Obviously, Nigel's got 8 games to make a judgment on the likes of Alex Pearce, Noel Hunt, these type of players. Where does it leave them?
Well, I think that's the important thing, that Nigel has 8 games to have a look at the group and see where they're at. Obviously his main focus is going to be on trying to gain results, of course, but gets you to have a good understanding of the players themselves. So, you know, those individual situations will be dealt with as we go towards the end of the season at what we see as the appropriate time.
Nigel, there was talk that you turned the job down, or at least had a long time to think about it. Was there something that turned you and said, yes, it's for me?
I think the important thing now is, we just talked about it, we're in the Premier League, it's a good football club, there's a good future here at Reading Football Club, and the Reading manager. So we can talk about discussions that might have gone on previously. We look to the future. I've just been appointed the Reading manager. I'm very happy about that. We look forward with positivity, and I think that's important.
Nigel, many feel that you were sort of harshly treated at the end of Southampton. Many have said the same about Brian here in terms of timing. Just give me an assessment. You described yourself earlier as a football man. Are managers being disposed of too quickly? And what, you know, should chairmen be showing more patience with football managers? Many football managers have been dismissed this season.
Listen, it's a very interesting question, isn't it? And at the end of the day, the owners of football clubs have to make what they believe is the right decision at a certain time. I think it is a volatile industry that we're in with managers. I think probably when you look at Reading as a football club, they probably had a stability with time with the manager. So I think that's important. So that's obviously a factor that you bear in mind when you join a football club. And I'm looking for a long-term relationship here at Reading. As I said, having met the owner, I think it's going to be a very good one.